Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the third event at the Japan-US Exchange Debate Tour 2017 at Kyushu University. The whole tour is sponsored by Japan Debate Association, the US MCA, CID, the International Discussion and Debate Committee on International Discussion and Debate, National Communication Association, and the financially generously supported by GTEC Corporation. And the local event here is organized and sponsored by Kyushu University Faculty of Language and Cultures and JDA Japan Debate Association Kyushu Chapter. And the debates are helped by the ESS debaters. And this event is originally for high school teachers and students, but because of some schedule conflict, we have this debate for the audience and also for the video so that many other people can watch. This year's high school, we have a national high school tournament, and this year's resolution is this: Japan should significantly relax its immigration policies. And the Kyushu University students and the visiting American debaters will make up two teams and give demonstration debate using exactly the same resolution and exactly the same format. You can find the format of the debate at the back of one of the handouts, and we'll go through this. And after the debate, I would like to ask Dr. Kephart, who accompanied the American team, to give us some words of feedback. And after this debate, there will be another debate, which is so-called Asian-style parliamentary debate, which is more extemporaneous debate. So probably without further delay, we'd like to ask the debaters to just give names and which speech you're going to give, and go on to the debate. Okay, first from the affirmative.
Hello, my name is Allison. I'm a sophomore in Kyushu University. I haven't debated for 4 years because I was also the member of the HEnDA debate when I was in high school. But this, I haven't debated this style for a while, so I'm kind of, intense, but I want to enjoy this one. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Hung. I'm from Vietnam, and now I'm third year student in Kyushu University. So I have been debate for exactly 1 year, and I rarely debate in HEnDA before, just one in Inoue, Professor Inoue class. But then that's why I actually don't know much about this, and I hope that this time is gonna be a good chance for me to know about this style of debate. And I will do the affirmative attack and the affirmative defense. So which we can have a good debate with the negative team. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Elijah Smith. I'm part of the American team. I'm just stopped being a student. I just finished my master's degree in communication about 2 months I think now, 2 months ago. Thank God. And hopefully we have a good debate. Thank you.
Negative team, please.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Yuki Onishi. I'm a junior of the Kyushu University, but so I have some experience in the HEnDA's debating style in a little bit. But so I made a debate for the first time in 4 or 3 years. So I'd like to enjoy this debate. Thank you.
Nice to meet you. My name is Naoya, and I'm a 3-year student of Kyushu University. And although I have experienced the parliamentary debate for 2 years and more, but this is the first time for me to do this style debate. So I don't have any confidence, but I will do my best. Nice to meet you.
Hello, my name is Allison Faust. I'm also part of the US team. We are really excited to get to do HEnDA style debate because it is not something we have in the United States. And so it's fun to get to learn about new formats, but see how they overlap with a lot of what we've done the last couple of years. I guess the one thing I'd want to add is my favorite fact about HEnDA style debate is apparently HEnDA translates to weird in Japanese, and I think that that is wonderful. Thank you.
The standard format of the HEnDA debate use 4-person teams, but we have 3-person teams, so one of the speakers will give 2 speeches. But, except for that, we'll follow the format of HEnDA. Okay. Now, would you like to welcome Affirmative Constructive Speech, 4 minutes.
Thank you, speakers. We believe that Japan should significantly relax its immigration policies. We have 2 arguments faced. Our first argument is economic development, status quo. In Japan, the population is decreasing gradually. According to the government forecast, the nation's population, which stood at 127 million in 2013, would be 52 million in 2100 if the current low birth rate continues. Actually, Japanese birth rate keep decreasing. And Japan is famous as a country where aging is the most advanced in the world. So here is called the super aging society. What we can know from those facts is that in the near future, Japan lack of labor power seriously. For example, in manual labor industries, they need young labor force to do the physical job, and the lack of labor force will lead to the delay in development and reducing efficiency. In fact, after taking this from, immigrants contribute mainly 2 aspects in Japanese economy. 1, labor shortage can be solved because immigrants is a key potential source of human capital. Industries and other businesses necessities for labor force to function will be satisfied. For example, according to Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare state that caregiver talents shortage by 370,000 people in 2025. Secondly, Japanese economy will be pushed up thanks to new markets formed by immigrants' daily demands such as food and clothes products and so on. As expected by the Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, immigrants can boost up Japanese gross domestic to 600 trillion from the current 490 trillion thanks to immigrants, according to Japanese time 2015. Importance. Labor shortage and aging in Japan are a serious problem because it weakens the whole Japanese economy in 2 ways. 1, reduction of products, and 2, is narrowing markets. Labor shortage is one of the big reasons of bankrupts in Japan in this case, so immigration can effectively solve that weakening in birth rate. So we need this motion. And our second motion, argument is Japanese society's stabilization. Status quo. Shortage of working-age people puts an economic burden on Japan in terms of shortage of tax and support for welfare and pension systems. Now Japan is facing the budget deficit, and the amount is increasing year by year. So moreover, the problem of labor shortage becomes more serious as going to the the countryside. So those areas cannot maintain their local administration well, and and also they cannot support living people in those kind of countrysides. So it's kind of so Japanese society is becoming unstable because of those facts. In fact, immigrants who work in Japan have to pay tax and join the pension system. Therefore, they can contribute to relieve the welfare burden in Japan. Cider is pointed out that in terms of change in welfare, Japan gains by $5,939 million thanks to immigrants. They pay consumption tax every time they buy something. They get salary already take off income tax. They pay national insurance every month if they live long in Japan. They also pay for a pension system. So also they can stabilize local administration because most of immigrants go to many cities where their jobs, especially where rural areas are now having higher demands. According to the statistics from the Ministry of Justice, place where we cannot call them big cities come to the higher rank in the towns with many foreign workers. Lastly, foreign labor in nursing can solve the problem of the elderly. Importance. Economy burden in terms of the welfare and urbanization problem destabilize Japan and make it vulnerable. Without any effective solution, it is high possibility that Japan will bankrupt or systematically collapse in the future. Immigrants for short and long terms can stabilize the situation. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. 1 minute preparation before cross-examination, questioning.
Who asked the cross-examination? Summary?
Usually, yeah, summary speaker, according to rule.
Okay, so.
Okay, questioning with both speakers, please go front, the center. You have 2 minutes.
Okay. So in your case, you say that you want to significantly relax Japanese immigration policy. How are you going to do that?
We are following the definition, so we will welcome to the 10 million immigrants within 50 years, but it's just the gradually. So if we need, so sometimes people said that so many people will come to Japan and we don't have any space for them, but it's okay because we have a solution like the Japanese government is also smart, so they can know that what kind of it's not stupid. So they know that what kind of job what kind of human labor we need in some specific areas, so we can gather those kind of people from the old countries.
Okay.
So like that.
So about how many people would be let in per year in order to get to that 10 million?
We haven't decided at
Okay.
that point.
Okay. So would you agree then that immigrants are able to fill jobs when they get here?
Yeah.
Okay. So are you telling me then that you're relaxing the policy in order to have the sufficient amount of people to come in, right? As the Japanese government sees fit. On the negative side, we represent the status quo, and the status quo is supporting the Japanese government in a sufficient amount of people, which is a very small number, which is what the smart Japanese government has decided. Why should we change to your plan when you just told us that the Japanese government already knows what to do?
Actually, in Japanese government, they are divided. Like, first, one part of them is saying that we should not invite immigrants, but one part of them is insist that we need immigrants. So they are battled in the Japanese government. So we cannot say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
One last question. What type of jobs would these immigrants be taking?
Oh, that's right.
What type of jobs or what fields would the immigrants have?
A lot, like nursing care and also construction and something.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now we'd like to welcome the negative constructive speech, 4 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. So with the negative side, I strongly believe that Japan should not significantly relax its immigration policies. Our statement is supported by 2 disadvantages. Disadvantage 1, it would make the employment for citizens in Japan worse. So under the status quo, the number of population in Japan would decrease, especially for the people who can still work in the society. So according to the data of the Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare in 2013, so the rate of the people between aged 15 to the 60 and 64, the percentage is that 63.0% in 2010. But however, 3 years ago, in 2013, the rate was 62.1%. So it decreased by 1.1% in 3 years. So, and also, so it means that it leads to there are less and less people can make an important role in the Japanese society to support the society. So in fact, if the Japanese government welcomes immigrants, the wage of each employees would decrease. So according to the survey of the National Bureau of Economic Research in 2011, so they assembled data about how percentage the change if the immigrants increase by 1% in the population. So in the US, for example, in the USA, it decreased the wage maximally by the 1.6%. But on the other hand, in the Europe cases, it decreased the wages in the worst by the 0.2%. So, but if in today's cases, so if the Japanese government welcomes massive immigrants, so it means that there are some more possibility to decrease the percentage of the decline of the wage, right? The significance. As Japanese government, it should guarantee the life of its own citizens in order to maintain its future. If it cannot do that, Japanese employees would have difficulty living on a daily basis and have antipathy against not only nations but immigrants. This situation would be in the confliction between employees and immigrants. The disadvantage too. Immigration hurts innovation in the technology. So, present situation in Japan, so many companies try to introduce new technology in order to produce the new products and improve the efficiency in works. So, according to the Shinzo Abe, so there are the 3 arrows. So, there are another forms of solving the increasing of aging population like so the automation and technological automations. So effect, so remaining work which grows lower, the effect, it's the remaining work which grow lower. So according to the survey, according to the research of Lewis in 2005, it reveals that in that area where many immigrants are introduced, there are less companies which utilize the new techniques. So the significance, the growth of economics are significantly related to the growth of our nation for our futures. We must try to introduce new techniques, improve the productivity, like so the mechanization in the factory. In order to maintain our future, Japanese government should prioritize the growth of economy. For all of the reasons, we have strongly about this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. 1 minute preparation before questioning. The affirmative summary speaker will ask questions. Okay, questioning from Affirmative Summary. You have 2 minutes.
Okay, first question. You made a big statement. You said Japan has a 63% unemployment rate. Is that true? Unemployment, so unemployed
No. It's not the rate of unemployment, but so the rate means that so the population rate which the people who can still work in the society.
So I want to ask, are those people employed or unemployed? Because you said they were unemployed. Okay. So 63% of people who can still work are.
Sorry, it includes both of them. So employees and unemployed.
So do they have jobs now or do they not work now?
Yeah, they have some. The many people still work.
Okay.
In that ratio.
Great. So if many people could still work, why does Japan have a huge nursing shortage? Why do Japanese people not take those jobs? Japan needs a lot of nurses. There's a big gap of how many nurses. Just like Americans, we're not good at math. We need a lot of people who can work on computers and who can program. How come Japanese people don't take the nursing jobs now?
So because we have to create. So we have to. So Japanese government try to automation and so the automation and so in order to complete the shortage of some.
How can a robot take care of an elderly person? Like a nurse?
Yeah, so I think it is okay in the part.
Okay. Now we have 2 minutes preparation time before negative attack speech. Negative attack speech will attack the affirmative constructive arguments.
Answer the question to the next マッチが I'd like to speak.
We're still in the prep time. You have 1.5.
So,
So it'll be, what will happen is we'll do, negative energies you, and then someone's going to represent you. And then after that, I believe, Yuki will examine someone else.
What time?
That's
3 minutes.
You have a total of 3 minutes.
Very short.
Very short. So we're going to read there, and there's one. You say I have 2 or 3 attacks against us, and then you tell me why they're wrong. And you say revenge 2. This is why they're wrong. And you say, okay. And you can take my information.
Thirty seconds.
Why it's wrong.
Okay, we just welcome the negative attack speech. We have 3 minutes.
Okay, before moving on to my speech, 1 point clarification. What we are opposing is not immigrant itself. What we are opposing is significant relax. But having heard the Prime Minister's speech, I cannot understand where is the necessity significant relax on this, on the immigration policy. That is what we are opposing now. This is a very important clarification. So move on to my speech. 1 is about reward towards the economic development from the Prime Minister's speech, right? 3 points of rebuttal. She firstly said population birth rate will be increased due to the immigration, but this is not true, right? Professor Yamaie 2017 said, the 60% of the people didn't give a birth. The reason of the very low birth rate is the main reason of the low birth rate is they feel worried about their future. That is to say, they do not have enough income. But under their paradigm, if more immigrants will get the job, that is to say, the less Japanese will get the job. That is to say, the more people will feel worry about their future. So less people also will give a birth for their children. That is to say, we think if we welcome the more immigrants, the birth rate of Japanese will decrease. Secondly, she said the immigrants can contribute and immigrants can be the key labor. But again, this is a very important point of my introduction, right? If the immigrants even if the immigrants can contribute to society or immigrants can be a key labor, where is the necessity we significantly relax the policy system? We are happy to employ the very key labor from the foreigners or from the headhunting or kind of things. But I can't believe the 10 million immigrants can be the key labor in Japan. That is to say, there are no necessity significantly relax on the immigrant policy. Nextly, they said the labor shortage is a very problem. It's very problem, she said. But two response. One is in Japan we already have the very 3,600,000 unemployment labor force in Japan, right? That is to say, many Japanese do not have the job in the status quo. If they have the resources to relax the policy, they should have the resources to give a job training for them, or kind of things, right? And secondly, an automation, as my partner said, the automation or machinization is occurring. That is to say that demanding for the job workforce is decreasing. In their cases, if we hire more immigrants, the labor force is overflowed, and Japan cannot hold all the labor force in Japan. That is the reason why their motion already forced. Secondly, about the social system. They said after taking this plan, social system will be stabilized, but this is not true because Hayashi 2015 said they pay tax, of course, but at the same time, large percent of the immigrants will get the more like support from the government, more social welfare over which they pay. That is to say, the governmental resources will never increase. Rather, we have to pay out more money to give the more support for the immigrants. That's why their benefit doesn't stand at all. Thank you.
There's a questioning from the affirmative side. The third affirmative speaker will ask questions. There's no preparation time, so please, third affirmative speaker and the negative attack. Questioning for 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you for your speech. So first of all, you talk like 3 million people now lacking a job, but we are in a shortage of nursing jobs and agriculture jobs. Why these people in the first place don't take that jobs?
Because because many companies refuse them.
Why they refuse them?
Because they are not capable.
So you mean that like if the immigrant now is capable and like they can do the jobs, and why Japanese people don't take them?
Company refuse them because they are capable. In that case, if the more immigrants who are more capable than Japanese, of course Japanese employment rate will decrease, right? That is a problem what we are discussing.
Okay, so the second question is about the support. You said that like you're gonna cost more support for like the immigrants. How much it's gonna cost for that kind of immigrants? Do you have any kind of data?
I don't know exactly how much it is, but what many very authorized professors said that they will get more than which they
We
pay.
bring for you like a really true number. It's 5,000 millions. Do you have any kind of number to compare with that?
Sorry, I don't have the exact
Okay,
number.
so here's very interesting questions. You said that like robotics can take the job. Doesn't this mean that like robotics can take the job of the old Japanese people itself in the first place? I can
But
repeat
even
it.
if that is true, it will not justify the way we getting the more immigrants because under both paradigms the situation is still worse for them.
So my question is just, in the case that like both robotics and immigrant can take the job from Japanese people, then why robotic can be justified but immigrant is not justified?
What we are saying is that the problem with the shortage of the labor force does not exist, right? This is the problem provided there's a cost. This is not our burden. This is your burden, right?
Okay, so about the last questions, like I want to confirm again about the 63% of the number. You said like 63% of unemployment.
No.
It is very just, or so let's.
What I said is 3%, but this is very still large number of the people. Absolutely number.
Okay, thank you.
We will move on to affirmative attack speech. Refutation against negative constructive arguments. 3 minutes.
I will beg to someone to change.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen in this house, it is very interesting for me to standing here and debate with the negative teams. So let's testify what they talk in their negative speech. Number one, they talk about the employment in Japan is gonna worse in 2 ways. Number one, like the unemployment rate is gonna increase, and number two, the average wage of them gonna decrease. However, there is a few questioning about here. Number one is about the data that they bring up for us. They said that like there's 63% of people are unemployed in Japan. That is the questions from outside that it is very, because if it's 63% of unemployment, it means like that country is already collapsed in the first place. So we want to ask you again to confirm about that number. But number two, you talk about like the wage gonna decrease, but you said that it's increased for 1% and 0.2%. But my question here is just like, the Japan, like the immigrants, at the same time, they contribute for the cross product of Japan. They boost up other industry of Japan, and we have and then we have a lot of data to support for us. For example, as Saito said, if the immigrant come in, they can boost up at least 3 main industries, including manufacturers, food, nursing, agriculture, and so on. So in this kind of case, why this kind of decrease in the weight, it should be considered by the government, when actually the benefit coming from the immigrants for Japan themselves is much more better. But more interesting, let's move on to the second questions about they said the innovations of Japan's gonna be less, and Japanese people the innovations and the robotics gonna be less. 2 questions here. How long does it take for you to develop a robot that can actually take care of the elderly in the first place? And how can this kind of thing gonna be work? But let's say that just give them their best and say that okay, now the robotic is occurring. But in the same time, if robotic take the job, it means that Japanese people will be unemployment. Then now compare if their job is taken by the robots and their job is taken by the immigrants, which one is better? Of course, if they are being taken by the immigrant, it's better. Why that? Because at the same time when immigrants work in those countries, they pay tax, they support for the pension system, and they also contribute for the economics. However, the robot, they don't have to pay tax, they don't have to pay money, and we have to pay money to actually maintain for them in the first place. So my question is that ask the Japanese government, which side is better to number one, stabilize the situation that is now lacking of human resources, and that is the problem that is being proved by outside of the house. And number two, even if you bring out the robotics and the innovative, why this kind of thing is beneficial for the Japanese government in the first place. So for all of these reasons, proud to stand in the affirmatives in this debate. Thank you.
Now we will move on to negative questions. Negative third speaker will ask the question. So, Affirmative Attack speaker, please ask a podium. Okay, questioning from the negative for 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speakers, and ladies and gentlemen in this house. So let me ask you some questions. So you said that you misunderstood about improvement in the first place. We didn't talk about 63%, but the unemployment rate is 3%. So, right? So how the okay? So you say that there is some possibility. So other industry in the agriculture, for example, is agriculture or something like that. So but in your paradigm, so how can you solve with the shortage? So they encourage some agriculture industry, even though there are some less.
Well, it's easy. You can take a look at the plans in the introductions. You have to grant the visas. And in order to grant a visa to come to Japan, you have to at least being hired by the Japanese companies. And now agriculture company, nursing companies is already now hiring foreign people for take that kind of job. So that's why they give them enough incentive to take that job and go to Japan, have higher salary than the other countries. So that can solve the problem of the aging problem, of the lacking of that human resource in the first place.
Okay, so on that point, in the nurturing cases, so who would hire the qualified. So who would some Japanese hospitals hire and qualified Japanese nurse and some Indonesian nurse who will work at half day?
Actually, in the fact now, a lot of Vietnamese, Indonesians, Peruvians, and Brazilians already taking the nursing jobs, and they are actually doing that well in the current situations. So I don't think there is any kind of question for that kind of thing.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we'll move on to defense speeches, but before that we have 2-minute preparation. Next speaker is Affirmative Defense.
So okay, I want to clarify some data. So there is 60%. I will clarify, just clarify. 63% is the rate of some people who can still work in their society in Japan. In the quote, at the total population. So automation. Automation.
Okay, now we'd like to welcome the Affirmative Defense speech responding to the Negative Attack speech. You have 3 minutes. Affirmative Defense.
So sorry. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to conclude this debate in 2 main cross-points to answer 2 questions. Number 1, it is necessity to relax the immigrant policies. And number 2, let's talk about the backlash in the motions. Number 1, about it is necessity to actually relax the immigrant policies. We ourselves have proved to you the main problem that the Japanese government are facing now is the Asian problem. It's the problem of lack of the human labor force. And you in the other side say the current situation, you protect the current situation and say that is fine. But it is not fine in 3 main problems. Number 1, the problem about the immigrants themselves. In job program, the immigrants now are not working for a cheap salary. They're working under harsh conditions, and a less competitive company actually hire them, and that is harmful for the immigrant and less incentivized for them to come to Japan. But in our South, with this kind of plan, more companies will have the incentive to hire this kind of people. It's make them competitive hiring of such people more, less incentivize them more to come to Japan. It's meaning our plan is workable in the first place. But number 2, use the problem that we want to solve and exclusively solve in this debate is the problem of the lacking of human labor force. And you bring out a number 3% of unemployment, and you want to protect that kind of unemployment. However, Mr. Speaker, let's compare the problem now. It's only 3% of unemployment like versus thing with like the whole of like the systematically collapse possibility in the futures because of the lacking of the pension system, because of the lacking of the human labor force in the future. That is the problem. Which problem we should prioritize? Of course, the problem about the labor force and something like that. Because even for Vietnam, our countries now, the unemployment is about over 10%. And like in that kind of case, that is a real problem. But it is 3%. It's gonna be calculated by students about like the doctor or the one who actually like working in the like studying in the university who actually didn't have a real job, or the one who worked in the military or something like that. So you need to prove to them why that kind of 3% should be a larger problem than a problem than the government side to in order to the Japanese government to prioritize in the first place. But let's talk about the backlash. You mentioned about the backlash, like it's gonna be hinder the technologies and like it's gonna be like reduce like the unemployment. However, two response from outside. Number one, we prove for you that like at the same time, it will contribute for the economic of Japan. Like the Prime Minister already proved to you in her data and in her speech. However, all the things that like we heard from your side is that like they're gonna cost more than actually what they pay for. We need the real data here so that we can actually compress between the both sides. And number two, about like the robotic problem. Something that robotic cannot do and like only human can do, for example, nursing, for example, taking a very complicated job. In that kind of thing, we still need the human labor force. So for all of these reasons, proud to stand in the affirmative side.
Now, there's no questioning after this speech, so we'll move on to directly negative defense speech. You have 3 minutes. Negative defense, 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. So I want to clarify at first one thing to begin with. The first, so they misunderstood about the rate of unemployment rate. It's not about 63%, but it's 3%. The 63% is the percentage of the people who can still work in the society as in the total, as we can see from total of Japanese population, right? So therefore, so it is the real problem is that we can even if there are automation, Japanese by massive immigration, so we can Japanese the space for the Japanese employees will decrease. So in the first place, so by taking a place, taking a place by some massive immigrants, right? So it is a real problem, which we want to present it from some negative side. So okay, so I will respond. Okay, I will respond to what the attack speaker has said. The memory talk about even if the mechanization automation will proceed in Japan, so that they can complete some lack of some shortage by another industry like some agriculture or something like other industries. But however, so as a government, as a Japanese government, it should invest to the Japanese people at first, right? So there in the training, even in some job training for the immigrants, or it costs some millions of yens. It takes cost millions of yens, and also if it took place by the massive immigrants, they and moreover the automation. So Japanese Japanese people cannot afford to apply for the job and acquire a job, and also we can if not prioritized, the Japanese employments, they are not willing to give it birth to the children, and also they lose confidence to applying for a job. So that is leading to some decline of the Japanese population, right? Therefore, their solution, the government solution, is the worst that makes the Japanese population decreasing of the Japanese population much more worse, right? So therefore, we should strongly oppose this resolution. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have 2 minutes preparation and then move on to summary speeches. Summary speeches will also start with the affirmative. Okay, we'd like to welcome Affirmative Summary speech.
This is how many minutes? 3. Oh, not 23. Okay. So there's been a lot of mix-up with numbers in this debate, so I'll clarify a little bit. 3% of people in Japan are unemployed. 40% will no longer be able to work again because of the super aging population. And 100% of robots will kill you if they try to take care of you. The only people in this debate who have created a solution to the super aging population is the affirmative, which is why it is so necessary to stop giving into the type of conservatism, you know, that kind of sound like Donald Trump, that scares you away from foreigners. Right, there's not the scary foreigner, right, that of tales of the past that like older people in Japan who are more conservative might have told you. That is not the case today. The individuals who we have talked about are nurses who are coming here who are currently stuck in the trainee programs, which is the reason why they are not able to get enough money. We fixed that. The people who we are bringing over are able to produce tax income, which they have not responded to. Even if you have robots, even if you have some people, more tax income, specifically in rural areas where people are abandoning for bigger cities, is necessary. They don't produce spending. Even if they bring in some people, they have conceded that spending is necessary to invigorate the economy. But lastly, they don't bring in human capital. Human capital, human difference, is what sparks innovation. And to be honest, It's part of the reason why the US economy started to go down, why the Japanese economy has started to slow down since the 90s. But there's a lot of companies, which I would love to work for, and I'm sure you are in university, so you could work for, that are starting to understand this difference. Big companies like Apple, Microsoft, and Google, you would think only want like the best STEM workers, science, technology, engineering, math. But that is not true. They are starting to hire musicians, people who study public administration, people who study the environment, because they know that difference is what sparks new ideas. So even if there's a sufficient number that could not hurt the 3% of the economy, or a robot that might be able to do someone's job, I ask you, would you rather have people come in who can help spark difference, spark new ideas, to invigorate the economy, or a robot that wants to steal your grandma's job? I think that the answer is pretty simple. Now, we should really think about how all these arguments fit together. We are talking about the future, where they are just rehashing old conservative arguments about the fear of the foreign other. We've seen that in America, this is a bad idea. If you were here for any of the conversations earlier or any of the debates, you'll see that this type of conservative, destructive thinking is what literally is holding back America.
Okay, we'll move on to the last speech of the debate, negative summary speaker. 3 minutes.
As much as I love being compared to Donald Trump, I'm here today to tell you that that is not what Team Negative represents. Instead, what Team Negative represents is the idea of reasonable immigration, of reasonable acceptance for the others, and what the Japanese government, yeah guys, should actually prioritize in today's debate. And we believe that means making sure the immigrants are in a place that they can be here in a way that will allow them to better incorporate themselves into Japanese culture, but also keeping out for the true priority of Japanese government, which should be Japanese citizens. So let's talk about why our side of the house is essentially going to win in today's debate. What we have to first understand is that the affirmative side represents a plan. They represent a plan of incorporating 10 million more immigrants into the Japanese population. This number doesn't sound so big until we realize that right now we have 2.4 million immigrants total in Japan. Imagine expanding that significantly over such a short amount of time. We have constantly told you that this is too much too fast. We don't have to say no immigrants ever, but instead we're going to say that most of their evidence about how immigration is good relies on reasonable immigration, which happens in short amount of times with strict tests like what nurses have to go through to make sure this happens. So let's dissect this in order to really understand this idea. Let's first look at the two advantages that are presented from the affirmative team. The first of which is this idea of economic development to solve for the aging population and what societal stabilization looks like. We tell you that economic development of the aging population is important, but at the point where so many jobs go to immigrants instead of going to Japanese citizens, it actually hurts Japanese citizens, that they're not able to fill those jobs. Constantly in CrossX, we were asked the question, well, why don't more Japanese people become nurses? If you were a hospital hiring, would you want to pay the overqualified Japanese citizen, or would you want to pay the Indonesian or Peruvian individual who will work at half price? This is the problem we're experiencing in the status quo. And because these individuals, it's their second language, it's very hard to immigrate. Only 20% of these nurses are actually able to pass the test in order to stay in Japan. Most fail the Japanese test, and that is actually why they're exported back. We don't want to relax these immigration standards. We want the best quality care for grandma. This is important. So what we present to you is this idea of alternatives. This is where our arguments on how automation increasing is good, how birth rates increasing are good. When we look at the data and see that most developed countries who have taken in an influx of an influx of immigrants, their birth rates lower because they fear about the future of their jobs. We think this is bad and makes the problem even worse when it comes to the Japanese economy. But secondly, we also tell you that we want to be able to be on the edge of innovation and on the edge of Japanese growth of the economy. What we want to do in today's debate is we want to make sure that the tax income and the human capital is first prioritized to Japanese citizens. This does not mean no immigration ever, but it means very small amounts to make sure that the money, the capital that truly matters most goes to the charges of the Japanese government, which will always be Japanese citizens. We can only see a vote negation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, all the speakers. We run out of time, but probably just a few minutes for Dr. Kephart to give some feedback.
Thank you all again for coming out to the debate today, and as I only have a couple of minutes, I will speak for much less time than I usually would, which means less bad jokes. But I do want to point out that there has been some research that suggests that 9 out of 10 people experience some form of public speaking anxiety. That 10th person is a liar. Everyone gets nervous when they do public speaking, and so I think our debaters today did something excellent when they came up and were willing to speak in front of everyone today. I just wanted to point out 3 things that I thought were really good in today's debate. So if you're learning how to debate, I want to highlight 3 things our debaters did that were excellent that you can model in your own debate practice. The first is the balance of attacking and defense. That to win a debate, you can't only go on the attack or only do defense. You have to both prove that what the other side wants to solve isn't that bad, and that they have the potential to make it worse. And we saw that in this debate. We saw the negative said that this debate isn't about immigrants at all. It's about whether or not we should significantly relax immigration restrictions, so that the problem identified by the affirmative wasn't really that bad in the first place. And then some reasons why they might make it worse. Similarly, the affirmative wanted us to think about how the shifts in labor meant that if it's automation or it's immigrants, both hurt Japanese citizens. So it's a question of which one can also help Japanese citizens. And so using tax dollars actually makes things better. So you saw that both sides had a balance of attack and defense, which you need to be an effective debater. The second thing is they both had very effective cross-examination. A lot of times when people ask questions and they're new in debate, they focus too much on just getting the information. But what they don't realize is that when we ask questions, we have the opportunity to engage in dialogue with the other side that we're talking with, which means we can get them to think about the topic in terms of our argument and our strategy. And we do this by making a statement and then asking a question. So what you saw a lot in this debate was one team saying, you gave us this number about employment, or you gave us this number about the workforce. If that number is true, then what about something else? If that number is so high for unemployment, then why hasn't the economy collapsed? If these citizens can engage, or these immigrants can engage in this job, why aren't they doing it already? And so the question isn't just, what did you say in your speech? But the question was, if an argument you made is true, then why isn't this other argument also true? And that strategy is a really good way of developing your own argument. The third thing that I think they did very well in this debate that new debaters can learn from is to recognize your strengths. As much as you want to, even when you're a champion debater, you never win every argument. Sometimes debaters in America have a phrase where they say, we're winning arguments everywhere on the flow. And that is not true. You are never winning every argument in a debate. So part of what a good debater does is recognizes the places where both sides overlap, where they don't need to have the debate, and then focusing on their own strengths. And the phrase that you can use for that is the phrase, even if. Even if wins debates. So when one side says, even if it's true that these things might happen with the economy, robots are important for immigration. Or if they say, even if it's true it might take jobs, what we need to do is establish a policy that helps Japanese citizens. What they're saying is, even if I lose part of the debate, I still win the debate overall. And that's a really important argumentative strategy because it lets you establish common ground with the other side. And then you can focus the debate down to what really matters, which in this debate was a debate over what is the responsibility of the government and how can they best protect Japanese citizens versus how should Japan respond to challenges of aging and automation. So if you want to be a good debater, I would do what you saw here today and make sure that you're balancing attack and defense, you're asking effective cross-examination questions, and you're making sure to recognize your strengths. Thank you.